Authorities in Northern California warn of more looters as Bay Area retailers continue to be ransacked. And in Southern California, thieves broke into a Nordstrom and luxury designer stores in the Los Angeles area. Well, here to talk about this further is Dr. Alex Del Carmen, who heads up the School of Criminology, Criminal Justice, and Strategic Studies at Tarleton State University in Texas. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
San Francisco Mayor London Breed says changes will be coming to prevent this type of looting. What sort of proposals does she need to enact in order for residents in San Francisco to see some change and for them to feel safe?
Well, for one, they need to improve on their social media manipulation, if you want to call it, or oversight, right? So at the end of the day, you realize that it's hard to fathom that 80 people were in on the know in how they were going to go into the store and burglarize it and rob it without actually any intelligence that was provided to law enforcement. So their social media sweeps, as we call it in the industry, need to improve dramatically so that law enforcement would actually have intel ahead of the event, that such an event would actually take place. That's where I would begin.
And it's interesting, too, because we heard that the district attorney there, Chesa Boudin, who's an embattled district attorney, announced that 9 people are facing charges in connection with that looting. But San Francisco has been riddled with crime, prompting some residents to hire private security and even take self-defense classes. But Boudin has blamed the city's police department for its low case clearance rate. What do you make of his comments?
I think it's been a political battle in San Francisco between the DA's office and the San Francisco Police Department. I personally don't blame the San Francisco Police Department because I know they're frustrated that the district attorney's office and the legislators and the city council as well, they have simply restrained the hands and arms of law enforcement to do the job that they're supposed to do. When you start telling cops that you're not going to prosecute certain crimes and you're going to only look at the most serious crimes, it's not a surprise, and you don't have to have a PhD in criminology to figure out that that's why criminals are doing what they're doing, right? The zero tolerance, meaning that if people are caught stealing any kind of property from somebody else, they're going to be prosecuted. I promise you that that's going to sit in incredibly well with law enforcement, and it's going to deter crime in the future.
Now, turning to Los Angeles, the city's district attorney there, George Gascon, has also come under fire for being too soft on crime, especially since he helped write Prop 47, which largely decriminalized theft and drug crimes by reducing them from felonies to misdemeanors. Do you believe this is why looters are targeting stores in the LA area as opposed to other cities because of some of his policies?
There's no question that there is a correlation or a relationship between those laws and those bills and the increase of crime. I wouldn't say that all of the crime increase is due to that, but I would say that a great deal of the criminal activity in some of those towns are in fact related to the political effect that they have had on the reduction of prosecutions, the disregard for certain crimes. And look, it hasn't helped in the past couple of years when we've heard this sort of agenda across the country of defunding law enforcement, right? That in itself has been a travesty as well. You've taken away the tools of law enforcement to do their job effectively. And on top of that, you're politicizing the prosecution of crime. So what are cops to do if they don't have those tools available to them? And criminals are simply incentivized to go out there and now gather in serious masses, right? Think about 80 people coordinating a criminal event at a single time in history without law enforcement knowing about it. That's historical unto itself.
And lastly, California Governor Gavin Newsom said mayors must step up to stop these looters, but hasn't offered any sort of solution. Is that sort of the right message from the state's governor? Because he's putting the blame on these mayors, but he hasn't offered any sort of proposals or solutions, but he just did survive a recall.
Yeah, so I think, the best answer to that question is that oftentimes triumph has many fathers and losses are often orphans, right? In the sense that nobody wants to take responsibility for what's going on over there. But the people of California deserve better. The people in California deserve to have political figures prosecutors, defense attorneys, and law enforcement officers to join the ranks and cohesively work together to improve the lives of others. This is going to continue to happen. It's going to increase, and we're going to see the end result of this, which is going to be far greater in terms of damage to property and persons than we have seen right now if somebody does not intervene and make some sense out of this madness here.
Some great insight there. Again, Dr. Alex Del Carmen, who heads up the School of Criminology, Criminal Justice, and Strategic Studies at Tarleton State University. Thank you so much again for your time and input.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.